The Egyptian government's deadly decision to evict mostly Islamist activists from 2 Cairo protest camps prompted unusually strong criticism from its main military ally, the United States. Just 2 weeks ago, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry praised the military-backed interim government for trying to restore democracy to Egypt after it toppled elected Islamist President Mohamed Morsi on July 3rd. On Wednesday, Kerry took a sharply different tone.
The United States strongly condemns today's violence and bloodshed across Egypt. It's a serious blow to reconciliation and the Egyptian people's hopes for a transition towards democracy and inclusion.
Kerry reiterated U.S. calls for the government and its opponents to seek a political solution to Egypt's unrest. Manal Omar of Washington's U.S. Institute of Peace discussed the U.S. role in the crisis with Egyptian civil society groups in Egypt earlier this month. She said their main request was for the U.S. government to encourage dialogue between the Arab states' opposing factions rather than take sides.
There were several people who asked that I deliver that message coming back to Washington, saying, whatever happens, U.S. should be promoting principles, they should be promoting nonviolence. They shouldn't get involved in terms of who does it and how it looks like, but really staying true to the principles that the U.S. wants to see.
A spokesman for UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon said Mr. Ban regrets that Egyptian authorities chose to use force against the demonstrations.
The Secretary General also believes firmly that violence and incitement from any side are not the answers to the challenges Egypt faces.
Cairo got an almost identical message from EU spokesman Peter Stano in Brussels.
Let me reiterate the EU's position that the violence does not lead to any solutions, and that's why we are urging strongly all parties to exercise maximum restraint.
In Muslim nations that supported Egypt's ousted Islamist president, there was anger at the use of force by the secular Egyptian military leaders who overthrew him. Islamists in the Turkish capital Ankara chanted for Egyptian military chief Abdel Fattah el-Sisi to get out. Turkish President Abdullah Gül accused the Egyptian government of staging an armed assault on civilians and called that unacceptable. Morsi supporters Iran and Qatar made similar accusations. Egyptian authorities said some protesters were armed and fired at security forces. Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates refrained from criticizing the crackdown. Both nations opposed Mr. Morsi's Muslim Brotherhood movement and backed the government that replaced him with billions of dollars in aid. Michael Lipin, VOA News, Washington.